Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tea Time. Not brought to you by, but inspired by Arizona Iced Tea. I am the man in the middle, Kevin Martinez, and we just got done having a fantastic podcast with my man Drew over here from 570 Exotics.
What's up? What's up?
Cheers to Tea Time, my friend. I'm going to shake mine up.
Of course. Let's go.
And here we go. Some ASMR.
Ooh, crisp. I like it.
Everyone does. I love it.
Hands down my favorite.
You know, it's not mine, but...
Really?
Yeah.
You know, I'm a simple guy. I guess I'm a simple guy, you know? I just like that, you know,
a simple
tea.
guy with exotic fucking flavors all the time?
Yeah, you know, isn't that an oxymoron?
Yeah. No, I'm not a big sweet tea guy, but hey, if it works for you, it works for you, man.
It works.
I've been a big fan of this new flavor.
Yeah, what is that?
This is half and half. It's iced tea and tropical mango.
Okay.
Mango.
Okay, I might need to be a little more versatile with my options because, you know, there's a lot of flavors that Arizona makes and a lot are slept on.
They have these cans and then they have these bottles with the Marvel one. You know,
yeah.
Those are pretty neat. I've had a few of them. But breaking news, my Arizona iced tea supply line has raised its price from 99 cents to $1.39, and you can only imagine the disarray, the disappointment, the heartfelt that I was heartbroken, bro. I was like, no.
Oh, for sure.
I was like, no way.
Definitely. No, I feel you there, you know, inflation's all around, you know, from, you know, gas to groceries to our Arizonas, everything, man. And, you know, it's wild that, you know, the Fed hasn't even called us the state that we're in a recession yet. You know, I feel like we're having a lot of financial loss, you know, especially I don't know if you heard, we dropped we didn't, but Saudi Arabia made the first transaction for oil not in US dollars since the 1970s, when it was the US dollar was installed for oil sales and established as the main currency for transaction. Oh. Yeah, so I think it was the Chinese yuan. And so yeah, it's setting a precedence where I don't want to say we're being shown as weak, but you know, it's we're starting to see other countries, governments and whatnot starting to second guess some things.
Would it be weird to call it a rebellion? I don't think it would.
You know, I don't think it is either. I don't think it would be weird at all to call it that. You know, we have our, you know, reaches in different governments and, you know, different countries. And, you know, for example, our military, you know, installed in, I believe we're in over like 150 different countries. It's wild that like we have bases established or, you know, joint bases or anything like that. And it's, we're the only country like that.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I think that so this is funny that you bring this up. I remember I had a podcast with a friend, and then as soon as I was done with the podcast, my buddy Zach called me. First thing he said was, dude, money's going to come obsolete. Like, that's the first, he just opened up, and this guy it's like,
go back to the barter and trade system.
He's just, he's
mine's running.
Yeah, mine is running. But anyway, we were talking about the, you know, US dollar, blah, 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 will become obsolete. You know, I tended to side with him as in like, yo, it's going to become, the value's going to drop and there's going to be a new form of currency. And I think it's fair to call it a rebellion. And I think it's fair to say that other countries are very much so tired of us being able to, I don't know, flaunt our $5 that can turn into $1 million in their currency. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a big way to say fuck you and definitely to destroy the value of our dollar.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's not much else that a lot of these governments can do, you know, for one, the amount of financial aid we give them. Mm-hmm. Number two, you know, we have relationships established with them. You know, say, for example, you know, the UK or, you know, a lot of Europe, Taiwan, who, you know, were in this state of escalation with, you know, China and us, you know, trying to, you know, justify who should run this island that's off the coast of China.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
I kind of skimmed through it, but I remember that was a conflict and still is. And
oh, for sure. definitely. And, it's been for many, many years, I think there was just some sort of contract or something that was, ended, just like, Hong Kong. Hong Kong was handed over from the British government to China because there was a 50-year contract on it from after they pulled out of, I believe it was like something over
some
there.
war.
Yeah,
probably,
yeah,
right?
definitely. So, once they pulled out, they said, you have 50 years and, then we're going to come take this back. But a lot of Taiwan doesn't want to be under the CCP's red thumb. And so, they're a more democratic nation. And so, as you can imagine, democracy and communism with Chinese characteristics do not match together very well.
So that's why America's there as well.
Yeah.
When it's like, oh man, it's just gonna be. You know what I find ironic is, we were talking about contracts and shit like that, bro.
Yeah.
I think it is freaking bonkers to have, what is it called? They try to organize chaos. They try to organize chaos, bro. How do you try to organize that chaos, right? Like they talk about this is claimed as an act of war.
Yeah.
This is claimed as an attack on a nation. That wasn't claimed as an attack on a nation, but just an experiment. I think that the fact that they try to bound war by rules is bonkers. I think it's fucking idiotic.
It's crazy how they try to justify war, and the government with any nation, but the U.S. Specifically, they word certain things so meticulously so that it's in line with that rule or with that law. For example, there was I think it was during like the Iraq or Afghanistan war or something like that, and the defense secretary was up there and had to make their statement on something, and it was they specifically called this operation what they were doing for it was a counterterrorism operation. And so for the reason why they called it that specifically is because if it was just something else on those lines, like say if they were just going after somebody for whatever reason, they have to brief Congress on it. They have to go to those committees and brief them on it and give them the intel information of what they're gonna do, and so they can approve. Well, for counterterrorism operations, that's not the case. They can kind of just go about and just do whatever without any approval. It's just about whatever agency, I guess, that's taking place in. So that would be like, CIA or what did we call it?
MK Ultra?
No, dude, that's a whole nother rabbit hole. That's crazy. If we can go down that one after.
That's a crazy one.
You could talk about that for hours, but they national reconnaissance.
In a sense, if you think about it, I see what you're saying. I see 100% what you're saying. Like, you have a government that is doing something that is on the line. Okay, like, so here's a line. And you crossed it.
They're just stepping across it.
They're stepping across it, but they're justifying it by claiming that it was a defense for a possible terrorism. And we all know that Americans are instilled by fear by terrorists, just because that's what the government kind of tells you, and it's funny because I've known a lot of people who have traveled to different locations. Shout out Miss Gina Marie. I think she went to Iraq. Our first conversation, we had a conversation, and she went to Iraq.
Yeah.
And, I went, But the reason she brought up Iraq was because she was mentioning the 3 most beautiful countries that she's been at, and Iraq was one of them. And I went, And she was like, yeah, I get that a lot. And I was like, well, you see that the government kind of, depicted this image of Iraqians being a terrible people, a terrible group of people, but at the end of the day, they're still people. And it seems like, from what I've heard from what I've heard from other people, is that they don't really have as much hatred that Americans may have towards them that they have towards Americans. They probably have no beef with Americans. They probably don't give a fuck about who you are. But it's because of the government, what we see growing up, the word terrorism gets thrown around. Therefore, you can justify a heinous act by saying
scare tactics.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, it's wild. The presidents, that the government tries to portray. Just for that example, when 9/11 happened and whatnot, it was already planned.
I hate going down that foxhole.
Yeah,
man. That shit fucks me up.
That is that you go down to the depths of hell and trying to search for that answer to the rabbit hole, because if you didn't know, the day before when that occurred, David Rumsfeld, who was I believe Secretary of Defense or
insurance claim.
Well, get this. On September 10th, 2001, the day before this happened, David Rumsfeld got up and, on national television said, there's about $4.2 trillion missing. Well, do you know what place was responsible for counting that $4.2 trillion?
No.
Take a wild gander.
I'm going to guess the World Trade Center.
The World Trade Center. And the very next day, it disappeared. You can look that up. Anybody, if you're curious about that, go look it up. David Rumsfeld, September 10th, 2001 press conference. He says $4.2 trillion is, missing. And after that happens, they have to, make this, congressional, they have to pass a fund by Congress. And what did they ask for? I believe it was like $4.2 trillion that they asked to go for in funds so they could go to war.
Yep. Because right after that, we went into war as a nation. And it's just so many, conspiracies that can definitely be backed by facts.
For sure.
And it's all about what you want to go into. And the reason I say that is because the further and further you investigate in these things, the further and further... You know what? It's not. It
makes you more self-aware.
I don't know if it's weird, but I think it dehumanizes me for some reason when I read that shit, because it's like fuck, like to think that someone could have done that.
For sure, it's it's a monstrosity. People that are
they live
capable
among
of
us
doing that. Yeah, no, 100% totally. And it's wild. When you do find about these, atrocities that happen, or, things that potentially, our government could be doing, or, what just people can be doing, it just makes you more self-aware as a human being what we're capable of, because, if you grow up in a small country town out in, Kansas or, whatnot, you're only going to know what your environment's providing for you. And so when, you're, example, if you live in New York City and, that happens, or, you're watching the news and, you're seeing all the stuff going on, it makes you just more aware.
Yes, 100%. And it's just like, it makes you more aware, but it's just so fucking, it's scary. And like,
definitely,
there's so much. I remember I ended the tea time with Oprah Winfrey is not as nice as she seems. I remember one of my friends questioned me, Kev, what did you mean about that? And I see my shit and I go through it, and I follow this one page on Twitter called Illuminati Bot. And it, obviously I question what they post. I do. I don't just take it all for...
It's like a Russian bot or something, whatever they call it nowadays.
I don't know what it is, but it's like, I find some pretty interesting stuff. So this one that I found just now, just by this is where I get a lot of my oh shit, wow. And they have video footage of it happening, so on and so forth. But here's one tweet. Always assume that you are under surveillance. At this point, if you are not under surveillance, you are not a very good activist. Some shit like that. What the fuck?
Oh, for sure. There was a CIA plot that was, information was released on that. They had intentions of assassinating Julian Assange because they considered him a nation state actor. And so they had plans going on after him. They considered him a domestic terrorist organization. So, you can look that up. There were intentions by the CIA to, quiet him.
A lot of nuts stuff out there if you get into it, man. Just be careful. Make sure you're probably working on a VPN. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, definitely. No, and, back to, stuff that I, ran up back in the day, on the internet. VPN was one of those things. I sold and, had, my own servers, whether they were in my own home. I would host for server hosting. But, say if you hosted like a game server, for example, a bunch of games, like you can host your own server and be able to play. People can join that server. I would do that. And then I would have like remote locations in, different countries, different places and whatnot. You could pay a subscription fee and they would, rent that server to you. And so, that was one of those things that I had going back in the day. And, just a little side hustle.
No, it's all crazy shit. It's infatuating shit that you know that, and I'm intrigued by that side of you. But we definitely got into a bit of a tangent there. We went into some pretty dark shit, real shit. Open up your eyes. Maybe maybe we get canceled. Who fucking knows?
Yeah, who knows?
But I heard this. I went to the barber the other day. Fresh cut, Sean Barber Cut.
Looking fresh.
Guys barbershop, thank you. But him and we always have these great conversations, right? And every now and then he might drop a dime. And I'm like, damn, son, that shit's crazy. So he dropped a dime yesterday.
Yeah.
And I want to see if you ever heard this. But we were just talking and he goes, leave a fly in a room for a day and it'll go nuts. Leave a fly outside and it'll live a day.
Yeah, that's a twister right there.
Right? So it's like, okay, so it's like if you leave a fly inside, it will go nuts. If you enclose a fly within a window seal and let's say a frame or whatever, a screen, it's going to go nuts. But if you let it go out free and let it roam, it's going to probably die in that same day. Mm-hmm. The fuck? What do you make of that? Like, if you had to use that for yourself, I guess let's see if we could put ourselves in as a fly for this situation.
The best way I could, try to break that down in, say, our perspective would be that you don't know, for the example of, both living for a day, whether what you do, you're going to live for this X amount of time. It's just up to you, whatever you do with it. If you stay, locked inside, locked away, you're not going to be able to experience different things. You're only, as we were saying before, you're a product of your own environment. And so, you're going to be stuck in that room, that house or whatever, and you're only going to know what's in that house, in that room. But if you go outside, you're going to be able to experience different things and, see what's out there. And, but either way, there's going to come a day where, you pass away. But, what you experience in what we call life is kind of up to you. When you go outside, you risk the chance of passing away on a for real.
Yeah, for sure. Thought about that this morning.
Yeah.
Driving a van. I'm like, damn, son. Like, I really drive this van everywhere I'm on the road every fucking day in a big ass boat.
You just never know, like, God forbid, like somebody can come up behind you and just kind of like pit you and, whatever it is, So it's kind of just like you're just taking that risk every day, just living day by day.
But if you went outside and maybe you took the risk, maybe that's the best way to go. It's all up to whoever you may be. Maybe you're an introvert, you want to be inside. Maybe you want to be outside and experience life. Maybe you find a fine balance in between both so you can do both.
Yeah, for sure.
Great quote there. Wanted to share that. One last thing I want to share before we get off of tea time here. Little sidebar topic I'm sure you've been seeing, and I think it's idiotic. This fucking Las Vegas sphere. Have you seen that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, dude. What the freak is that? Like, hold on. You mean to tell me they fucking put billions in this shit just to be the largest fucking LED display that can put it up at 4K?
Yup. It's just like a bunch of panels just shaped in a sphere, as you said. Honestly, I feel like it's just like a football stadium.
It's a flex.
It definitely is a flex for sure. Las Vegas wants to, kind of like show off their, what's and just say, yeah, we got this. But I feel like anybody who goes to Vegas, they're going for, a party. They're going for an adventure, an experience. And so I feel like Vegas would be the perfect place to put that other than like Dubai.
True.
Or something like that. Have you ever seen like pictures or videos from Dubai?
Yeah.
Dude, it looks wild. I'd love to visit one day. Oh, yeah,
Big
for
UFC.
sure.
Island.
Definitely. But, dude, yeah, it's wild. I'd love to visit that place one day. But, they're both in the desert. But, yeah, I feel like Vegas, it's just that place where kind of you could get away with a lot of things.
See, I don't want to. So I saw this one photo today, and it was an actual photo.
Sure.
And it was it was someone on the road, and they're in Vegas, and there's just a giant basketball now in the center that you can see from like miles away, and you can see what it says.
You're just like, what is that?
Is that a basketball?
Is that a freaking basketball? What the hell? Like,
dude, imagine that shit was outside your window. Oh man,
God, dude, like you just have like, all like bright lights, just like constantly breaching in, like, you get blinds or something, just kind of like bleed through.
I wonder how indestructible they made those panels, because I'm sure one neighbor's going to get pissed off and throw a hammer out their window.
Nah, it's definitely like the neighbor kid or something like that. He just like, he just like throws like the rock at it, sees what he does. The like security guard comes walking, what are you doing?
Someone's going to try to plug in their HDMI and fucking...
yeah, they're going to try to play like COD or like Warzone or like GTA or Fortnite or something on like the big TVs. Hey, what do you think you're doing? You can't plug that in there.
That thing is absolutely insane. I think it's a waste of money. I think it's a stupid flex, but that's Las Vegas for you. And
for sure. That's America, We'll just we'll pour money into it if it looks cool.
And with that being said, if it looks cool, pour money into it.
Yeah.
My boy Drew here, his store looks cool. Pour money into it. This podcast is running cool. Pour money into us. Cheers to Tea Time. Not brought to you by, but inspired by Arizona Iced Tea. Thank you, my friend.
Appreciate you.